Billy Eichner, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Nice to see you.
You too.
Did you watch The Lion King when it first came out?
I did. Yeah, I remember going to see it with my parents in the theater. I was a little older at that point. How old was I?
36.
15? Yeah, exactly. But, old-ish for one of those movies to, go with your parents. But I did. And I loved it. And then I weirdly... talk about full circle moments. I was a bartender at The Lion King on Broadway when I was a struggling actor in New York. And so, yeah, this is crazy to be in the movie.
Were you a struggling actor? Were you a struggling actor on Broadway bartending The Lion King, hoping to be on stage?
No, I mean, not in The Lion King. I mean, I would have been, but just to be in anything at that point. Would have been in anything.
Right, because I knew you first from Billy on the Street, and we're going to get to that. But you were on the path to be a Broadway singer, right?
Well,
you had that kind of voice.
I did, yeah, pretty much. I mean, I grew up in New York City, and my parents loved Broadway, and I loved Broadway and off Broadway. We went to see so much theater as a kid. When I was a kid, and I thought I was on that track. I was taking singing lessons. I was a really good singer as a kid. I just could sing. It just kind of miraculously happened. And I went to Northwestern and was a theater major there and did a lot of musical theater. And then I went back to New York, started auditioning and doing the struggling actor thing, thinking that I would be on Broadway. And then that didn't quite happen. So I started taking improv classes and getting into comedy. And then all of a sudden I was a comedian, but that was never the plan.
So I guess that brings me to what I want to talk about, whether this is kind of like a return in some ways. But first, I know that when you were a big fan of Broadway, you were also a big fan of Nathan Lane.
Yeah.
Nathan Lane was Timon.
The original voice of Timon in The Lion King, the original Lion King.
And that's the voice you're doing now. So you wrote to him after you got the part in the remake. We have a clip of Nathan Lane telling Stephen Colbert about it. Take a listen to this.
He writes this lovely email thanking, saying he's going to be doing it, and he just wanted to let me know and how, to follow in my footsteps. And he was very, very complimentary and lovely, very unlike Billy Eichner. And so, and I was very touched. So I wrote him back.
And we're just going to cut it there. What did he say? What did he say when he wrote you back?
He wrote me back and said, "What are you going to do next? The Birdcage with Ryan Gosling?" That's exactly what he said, which is such a funny joke. But I really did. It wasn't, I wasn't just, blowing steam. It was the truth. I grew up loving Nathan Lane. I mean, I saw Nathan Lane in a very popular among theater fans revival of Guys and Dolls in 1992, 93. And him and Ernie Sabella, who were the original Timon and Pumbaa, they were in that production of Guys and Dolls together.
Wow.
And they went right from that production to doing the original Timon and Pumbaa for the original Lion King. And I think that's part of the reason why they brought a very Broadway, almost vaudevillian, Borscht Belty style to Timon and Pumbaa in the original, which worked incredibly well, obviously. But I've loved Nathan forever. And, he's a Broadway legend. So, now I have to do it and not embarrass myself.
You do a pretty solid Nathan Lane, by the way. When you did the money, you got to,
Yeah, I've been listening to his voice for so many years, and he's a friend now. He's the greatest.
Is this a bit of a trip then to step into this role that was done by one of your idols?
Yeah, absolutely. A huge trip. Are you kidding? It's such a crazy experience. But once I got in there, I just sort of had to forget about all of that and do my thing, because you can't go in and just think, oh God, the pressure, Nathan Lane, Lion King. Yeah, you kind of have to put that in the back of your head somewhere so that you could create something of your own, which I think we were successful at doing. I hope so.
Did it bring you back to that earlier part of your life, maybe before you did comedy at UCB? Did it bring you back to those early days?
The singing really brought me back. Because I forgot that Timon and Pumbaa sing Can You Feel the Love Tonight? And when I got cast, I knew we'd sing Hakuna Matata, but that song, you can really speak through it. It's not a song for singers necessarily. But Can You Feel the Love Tonight? I forgot that I would be singing some of that. And in this version, we make a little bit more out of Timon singing The Lion Sleeps Tonight. And so I really got to sing. And I got to work with Hans Zimmer, who did all the original music and who worked on this movie again. and Pharrell produced some of these tracks. And so for me, it was the singing that really brought me back because I was a singer as a kid, and that's what I originally wanted to do, and it reminded me how much I like doing that.
But did it also feel meaningful in that this is something you always wanted to do? You ended up doing something else that you're really, really good at, and I'm sure you love.
Yeah, I do.
I'm sure you do, and it's great. But I have to imagine it also must be meaningful to know that your life path twisted and came back to kind of where it was at the beginning.
Yeah, comedy. Because Jon Favreau, when he cast me, I don't even think he knew that I could sing. John was a very early adopter of my show, Billy on the Street. Him and his family love Billy on the Street. They discovered it somehow even before the rest of the world. They knew my early videos online, and he loved it. So he knew me as a comedian exclusively. And I think maybe I told him at one point, oh, I can sing, but everyone says they can sing. I don't know if he really thought I could sing until I got in there and they were like, oh, you can sing. And I was like, yeah, I tried to tell you I could sing.
What did you sing for him?
No, we started recording Hakuna Matata or whatever the first song we recorded. And him and Hans Zimmer were like, oh, wow, you can sing. And then it was a question of how much should I sing? Because in the original, Nathan, who does have a great singing voice, obviously, but he didn't really lean into it in the original. They kind of sing a lot of it. And so for this version, I thought, I think it's going to be fun if I actually sing. And I think it's going to, feel a little different than the original, but still be true to the genre, which is a musical. And we all embraced that. And I was really happy I got to do that. But yeah, comedy brought me back to singing. Yeah.
That's meaningful, man.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm very excited about it.
Did you get to sing with Beyonce?
Oh, well, we're on the same song together.
Were you in the same room?
We were not in the same room.
Oh.
No, I think she was too intimidated to record with me.
She said that.
Yeah, she's been saying that
She
a
called
lot.
in.
Yeah.
She said.
Did she thank me?
She did.
'Cause
She
she
said,
definitely owes me.
If this thing works out, you know who to thank.
Billy Eichner.
Billy God Eichner.
That's right.
And I am speaking with Billy God Eichner right now, the actor and comedian. He stars in the remake of The Lion King, which opens in theaters July 18th. So we referenced Billy on the Street a few times. So this is like a game show where you march up to strangers on the sidewalk. You kind of bark a few questions at them, sometimes with a celebrity with you. We have a little compilation. Take a listen.
Okay.
What's your favorite Denzel Washington movie?
Phantom of the Opera.
Excuse me?
Phantom of the Opera.
Why the asking me about Phantom of the Opera?
He played as the Phantom.
No, Denzel Washington did not play the Phantom of the Opera.
Yes, he did.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did. Right down the block,
No,
honey.
he did not play the Phantom of the Opera.
Yes, he did, honey.
You are so wrong, honey.
Nah, honey.
You
because
are wrong.
I got it
Excuse
on
me.
Yes.
Denzel Washington never
he did.
played the Phantom of the Opera.
Down the block. Yes, he did.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
How do I get a You ask me a question. Give me my dollar.
Excuse me? Huh?
I asked you a question. Give me my dollar.
No, Denzel Washington.
Yes, he did, because it was right down the block.
He did not. He wouldn't play.
So,
He doesn't do musicals.
In the year 2005, yes, he did.
No, he doesn't do musicals. Denzel Washington never played the Phantom of the Opera. Who is he, Nathan Lane?
Nathan Lane, you guys did your homework. Found that Nathan Lane clip.
We brought it back around.
You did. I haven't heard that one in a while. So the first time I ever met Nathan Lane, since you played that clip, I was at a birthday party, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago, way before we started remaking The Lion King. And a friend of mine came up to me and said, someone here wants to meet you. And she didn't tell me who it was, and she dragged me into a corner, and it was Nathan Lane. I almost, fully died. And then he had seen that clip that you just played. So he did an impression for me of me saying his name. He basically did that clip that you just played. And that was insane. And he was like, who do you think he is? Nathan Lane? And he did me doing him talking about him. It was too much.
That's a pretty sophisticated impression you just did. You just did Nathan Lane.
Yeah, doing me talking about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bringing you my A game here on this Canadian public radio station.
Your EH game.
Yeah, my E. What does that
Your
mean?
A game.
Those are sophisticated Canadian jokes that I don't understand.
I feel like, well, I want to ask you about this because we just heard this sort of like the you on Billy on the Street, and I'm being deliberate about my words because I bet people get you confused, the guy I'm talking to right now, with that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's starting to happen less because I've done more things.
Yeah.
I did American Horror Story and Friends from College, and I pop up on TV all the time.
Well, what was it a thing, though?
I think at the beginning when people only knew me from Billy on the Street and Parks and Rec, which really essentially lifted my Billy on the Street persona and put it into that context.
Yeah, that's how it worked for me. I went from I saw you on Parks and Rec and then found out about Billy on
A
the
lot
Street.
of people, I
Yep.
think that was the case with, but Billy on the Street pre-existed that by a long time, and Mike Schur, the creator of that show, was a big Billy on the Street fan. So he brought me on to that and essentially had me kind of recreate the persona. Not exactly the same. Actually, the Parks and Rec version is way more intense than the Billy on the Street version even. But yeah, I think after that I realized, oh, I better do some other things. Otherwise, people are going to just think that this is who you are and you're a one-trick pony. I was very cognizant of that, though.
Really? You were worried about maybe being pigeonholed as that?
Well, yeah, it's very specific. And that's what Hollywood does anyway. And so I sought out Ryan Murphy and I sought out other people, and I was like, put me in your thing. But I don't want to scream. I don't want to scream in it. I remember when I got the Friends from College role, I had a call with Nick Stoller, and who now Nick and I are writing a movie together, but this is before that. But when I got the call from Friends from College to do that show for Netflix, I said, great, I want to do it. I will not raise my voice on the show. And Nick thankfully was like, yeah, you can whisper the whole thing for all I care. We just want you on it. And so, but yeah, I was very cognizant of that. And I still do Billy on the Street.
No, yeah. Yeah.
So I love doing it, but I also have to make sure I'm doing other things.
I mean, that's really interesting to me. I want to talk about that movie in just a little while, but like, I find that interesting because I wondered about that. One of the questions I had written down here was I was going to ask, do fans get you confused with that guy? And I also wondered whether, like, at the beginning, casting directors would have got you confused with that guy.
Well, casting directors are, very narrow-minded. Hollywood in general. I mean, everyone has such a narrow lane, especially for gay actors, openly gay male actors. Are often stereotyped, and I've always tried to work against that. And
how's it going? Like, not how's it going with you, but like, because you've been really open about discrimination in Hollywood and its portrayal of LGBTQ folks.
Yeah.
In particular, like I think I heard in an interview with you where you were like, I was worried I would just always be this friend. I'd be the certain kind of friend on a sitcom.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we got to a point where gay characters were popping up, sort of post Will and Grace, post Glee, and those both incredible shows. Ryan Murphy's a friend of mine and a true genius, visionary, changed the world, changed entertainment certainly. But often we were popping up, but in very particular two-dimensional ways. You're the wacky neighbor. You're the best friend of the lead girl. But we were never the center of the story. And our sensibility did not necessarily dominate the creative. And meaning the writing, the direction, the overall sensibility of the show. And what I love about Billy on the Street is that I'm the center. That it's clearly coming from a gay person's mind, I think. Although sometimes I'm surprised. People are surprised that persona. They're like, "Oh, you're gay." I'm like, "What do you mean? Couldn't be gayer on that show if I tried." But I don't know. Everyone's perspective is different, I guess. I don't know. But for me, it was coming out of a pretty gay sensibility, but it was centering it, and I'm calling the shots, and I'm the producer and the head writer and the star, and I created it. And it's hard to think of, I know that sounds like I'm patting myself on the back, and in a way I am, because there aren't many openly gay male comedians in America who've had their own show and called all the shots like that and had it have longevity. I'm really proud of that.
You should be. Is it getting better?
It's definitely getting better. Yeah. I just think, we have to be if we're going to have all these talks about diversity and inclusion, all these constant talks we're having now, especially in entertainment, that's all great. But, you have to include gay men as part of that conversation. I think there's this kind of urban myth that gay men all have amazing jobs and make a ton of money and life is just like this revolving door of endless opportunity and that we're not marginalized in the same way. But in Hollywood, we are, if not worse. So people just have to keep that in mind.
I understand what you mean, especially as we're coming up on the 50th anniversary of Stonewall.
Right now,
Today, if I'm not mistaken.
Literally, as we're talking here, 50 years ago at this moment, the first brick was thrown. No, but it's June 2019 is the 50th anniversary.
That's remarkable.
It is.
You know what's happened in 50 years.
Yeah.
But all the same, you're right. We, and especially in the media, we have a tendency, especially in the white dude media, this guy over the white hetero cis dude media,
Right.
have a tendency to go, "Yep, things were so bad. Good thing they're all better."
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, it's like when Obama was president and everyone was like, well, I guess racism's over. Boy, we learned that the hard way, how wrong we were in America.
But
right?
I should say, this movie you talked about earlier, this romantic comedy that you're writing and will star in, will make you the first openly gay man to write and star in a major Hollywood movie.
I mean, isn't that lovely for me, but isn't that shocking? Like, where was Nathan Lane's 7 movies after The Birdcage was a hit? You know, like, where were Sean Hayes' movies after Will and Grace? Could you have a bigger breakout comedic genius than Sean Hayes? But I don't know. Those opportunities just did not come to openly gay male actors, especially if they leaned on, you know, more of a flamboyant presence, which everyone loves, but then doesn't reward them for. And so
Everyone loves but doesn't reward them for it.
Correct.
Can you expand on that a little bit? I find that really interesting.
Well, like I said, you know, I think, you know, Nathan Lane in The Birdcage, hit movie, Golden Globe nominated. Where were his 10 other comedy vehicles after that? Like, why didn't Nathan Lane become Will Ferrell? Why didn't Nathan Lane become Jim Carrey? Why did Nathan Lane get the opportunities that Kevin Hart gets? You know, now Nathan's had an extraordinary career and he's a Broadway legend, and you know, anyone would die for Nathan Lane's career as it stands now. But I'm just saying there were opportunities that should have happened. I'm just using him as one example, right? There were opportunities there that should have happened. Rupert Everett.
Yeah.
Where were everyone? My Best Friend's Wedding came out. Everyone was freaking out. Rupert Everett is why this movie works.
Yeah.
What a breakout star. And then I think he had one bad movie with Madonna right after that, and that was it. No more chances. And that's, you know, that's fucked up. That wouldn't have happened to, you know, Ben Stiller. You know, straight guys are allowed to fail 100 times.
You got one shot.
Barely.
If you're a marginalized person, you got one shot.
Yeah, that's, you know, it's getting better. But to this day, I mean, there are no openly gay male movie stars in America. You know, there are TV stars, but a lot of them came out once they were famous already, which is wonderful, but a little different than being out from the beginning. And in movies, comedies, they do not exist.
So it must be meaningful then to you, to bring it back around. I mean, this movie is going to be seen by millions and millions of people. It's a gigantic Disney property, not to get all kind of weird about it, but it is. And it's, I mean, people are going to talk about this movie probably in the same way they talked about the original movie.
Well, hopefully that would be nice. Yeah, I hope people like it.
And you're in it. I mean, that must be meaningful to you too.
Yeah, no, it
not just
definitely-
as you as a gay man, but also just you.
Oh yeah, no, I know, it's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, Lion King is its own thing. You know, it's a voiceover. You know, it's a family film. It needs to play everywhere in the world, which is wonderful. You know, but it's, you know, very broad. In that sense, you know, it's really it's a spectacle and it's spectacular. You know, it's not it's not the type of comedy I'm talking about in terms of, like, you know, The Birdcage and all of those types
Of course
of movies.
not. Of course not.
obviously,
But I mean, I don't need to bring this up, but like, you know, even the diversity of the casting of The Lion King got headlines when it first came out.
For
right?
sure. Yeah, exactly. No, look, things are definitely getting better. And I know they'll continue to get better. But the only way they do get better is if you actively keep pushing people, you know, because people forget and people get scared and all that.
And that's something you've been doing.
I do that, yes.
It was nice meeting you.
Thank you.